What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. In today's video, we are going out to Locklairs, the project site, to give you an update of how it's looking right now in spring. Now, as always, these videos are unscripted and unedited. I'm putting everything together to try to give you the most information I can. If you're not already, please subscribe, tap the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. Come on back and enjoy the journey. What is going on, garden fans? I am out at the project site and kind of wanted to give you a top-down view of the whole place. Right now I'm standing on top of the education center looking down a hill here to the west. The sun is behind me, rising in the east, and this is the project site here in Gaston, South Carolina. What we got is a series of swales, trenches dug on contour going down this hillside, kind of like thinking rice paddies. And in between each of those swales, we've got these paddies where we're growing all types of fruits and nuts and edible shrubs and basically everything. We got a food forest out here and it's developing really well here in March. Now I'm gonna move over to the east. It's gonna get a little shady. I'll slow down here and let it focus. Still have a lot of life out here going around this hillside. That's about 1/4 of an acre. Maybe more. And as I'm facing to the east here, we've got a small pond on the opposing property we have access to if we need to pump water into our swale heads right through here. We have 1, 2, and then there's another third swale head, and those 3 swale heads row about 100 feet down the landscape, and they spread out a little bit here, flatten out, and boom, all the swales come to a common spillway on the left side of the frame here, going down the hill towards that bigger tree. And down at the bottom of the hill we have that little vegetable mandala garden. So this is a big macro look at the whole place, just kind of looking top down. Now I'm going to get down from here, and I wanted to step through a couple of the swale paddies just to show you some of the things we got growing. Now I am in Zone 8, South Carolina. This particular farm is in Gaston, South Carolina. This is a project site, it's a community site, so everything is community done. You know, low cost, low maintenance. It's permaculture. Our watering system is great. It's all set up. We have 12 tanks of water, 300 gallons apiece. We've got a very primitive gravity-fed drip system out here. Nothing to, I mean, all of this was free, and the labor was done, you know, for free. Everything here was done for free. I mean, this was a huge project. The most money went into the trees and buying all the plants in general. So I want to talk about those trees. Let's talk about what we have growing out here and what works for our zone and our climate and on this hillside. Pomegranate. We're going micro here. We've gone micro. Let's go micro. I'm going to quickly walk through and show you some of the things we got growing out here. We have pomegranate, doing great. Hazelnuts. We've got them posted in pairs here, and these are actually hazelburts. They're hazelnuts crossed with filberts. They work well here, Zone 8, South Carolina. They were bought locally. This is jujube. We've got a series of jujube going down the hill here. We have Lee and Lang jujube, both varieties, and they are wanting to start to flower up here in spring. They're getting there. These are good producers. We bought a few more to continue to spread that because they did so well last year. Persimmon. We've got a variety of persimmon out here. This is an American persimmon. I also have Fuyu persimmon out here. So we got a couple different varieties of persimmon. Persimmon grow well, Zone 8, South Carolina. Here's some more of those hazelburts, hazelnuts. And they're definitely going to be producing this year. They did last year. We're going to get even more this year. I really like how that flower looks. So more of those. Nuts, small nuts. These should get 20, 30 feet tall max. They're going to be nice little shrubs, maybe shaded a little bit by the persimmon behind it. Now we got bigger nut trees like a Chinese chestnut, and this thing has been, you know, I've respected the spacing of this tree. It's got a lot of space around it. It's going to have enough space to get about 90 feet tall. This is a Chinese chestnut. and it's going to have a bunch of fruit trees around it. This little shrub next to it is a goumyberry, nitrogen fixing shrub. That also produces an edible berry for us. I'm going to scoot over here into the shade. Once again, I'm moving towards the east, so the sun is rising here to my right. Here's an mulberry. This is a Pakistani mulberry. Another fruit tree, not too far from that, 6 or 7 feet, is a plum, Ozark plum. Here's another one of those nitrogen fixing goumyberries with a pecan tree. This is a pecan. So here's another nut tree that's going to get about 90 feet tall. And around it, let me step back a bit, it's going to have these smaller fruit trees kind of surrounding it. So everything here is producing, will produce, and it's going to truly be a food forest. I mean, this nut tree should rival this big live oak that we have, kind of giving us some shade here right now. Okay, and I am gonna, here's one of the swale heads as I was talking about. Sometimes we can pump water into the swale head and fill up an entire swale. The swale I'm standing in right here right now is 100 feet long. Goes all the way down and around the landscape. And then here I'm on a patty, like I said. So the next patty down, I'm gonna step down one patty. What do we got growing here? Things like pear. These are Asian pears. We have an all-in-one almond right here. This almond tree is really waking up, coming back to life. It's got an apricot tree right behind it as a ground cover. Strawberry, alpine strawberries. And this is a very prolific ground cover. There are so many strawberries out here underneath this tree. Comfrey, of course. And everywhere we got strawberry, we have very little weeds. There are weeds coming up, but the strawberry is doing its job as a ground cover and covering the ground, not allowing any of the major weeds like the thorn dewberry to really take hold. So lots and lots and lots of pine berries and strawberries out here as a ground cover in the shady area. As it gets a little more sunlight, now we're moving up in the ground covers. Now we have blackberries, thornless blackberries, and there's a whole hedge of thornless blackberries that goes down this swale patty, the swale patty and swale right here. Once again, I'm going to dip down. This is the second swale down the property, and it also goes 100 feet down the property. We have swale mounds, swale patties, tons of blackberries. Once again, little to no maintenance out here. All the nut trees at the top of the hill here, once again, have some fruit surrounding it. So here's another plum tree. These are cultivator varieties. These are Ozark plums. Also on site I have Chickasaw plums, wild plums from out in the wild here in South Carolina. This is a great looking polyculture here. On the center we have a big mulberry. Underneath it, all the blackberries. Right beside it is a goumyberry that has flowered and is going to produce fruit this year. The mulberry itself is loaded with fruit. Look at all the fruit on this mulberry. Okay, underneath the mulberry, you see the blackberries flowering. In a small, tight space, I've got food. And then right on the swale mound next to it, elderberry. This hedge of elderberry that's going to be growing down the swale mound here. So there's a lot of food stacked in a very small space. And that's what we're trying to do. That's the whole goal here. Maximize your yield. What else grows out here? Loquat. We got tons of loquat. Well, two really. Here's one, and we got one at the bottom of the hill. I was talking about persimmon earlier. Here's one of those Fuyu persimmons. This is one of the Fuyu Japanese persimmon, putting on flowers and fruit. Okay, I'm gonna continue to walk down this second swale patty. There's a lot of open space on it still. We have trees, like I said, ordered. We're putting out more jujube. Here is a huge blackberry cane, but right in the middle of it, Do you see that? That is a pineapple guava. We got pineapple guavas as shrub species. They're not going to be major trees, but they're shrubs, and they're going to be planted near trees. Now we had a tree out here that didn't make it. This is a nut. Didn't make it, so we got to replace it. So there's a lot of open space on this swale patty right now. We do have a cherry tree here. It's a royal cherry. Finally got the word on that. 2 more pineapple guava, more pomegranate, and then we're getting into more jujube as we go down the hill. And here again, Lee and Lang jujube, 2 varieties. These are starting to want to flower. They're budding up. This is a Lee jujube right here. Definitely starting to want to flower up. Autofocus, come on. Okay, and there, you know what? There are 2 more swale patties. Let me quickly talk about those. Let me back up a bit, give you a grand view of the whole thing again. Once again, we're working our way down the hill. We were at the top of the hill just a moment ago. We walked through 1, 2 swale patties, and there are 2 more still here on the property. Okay, briefly, since you've already seen it, a jujube, here's another persimmon, there's a pomegranate. Further on down the hill we have 2 Ozark plums, and then there's a hedge of elderberry and thornless blackberry. The ground cover is red clover, mammoth red clover. It's a perfect time to get the bees in because there's a lot to pollinate. And as this clover dies back, we're gonna chop it and drop it, and it'll be a huge biomass accumulation here. We're gonna get a lot of nitrogen dump. We're gonna chop and drop the green material and then wood chip over it. At the very bottom of the hill here, last swale patty. I'll go a little in depth on this one because we kind of planted this out to be more like a traditional agroforestry look to it. Not so mixed planting. So we have hedges of goomyberry, and we have a hedge of blueberry, and then we've got a hedge of mayhaws. So that is very easy for somebody to come out here with a basket and pick fruits on either side at its respective time of year. And right now we are getting fruit off of blueberries. Another couple days of rain, and I think we're gonna have a pile of blueberries to harvest out here. Permaculture gardens really pollinate heavily. You can see that we have all the clover out here that draws in tons of pollinators. So everything is getting pollinated heavily. A whole different variety of blueberries are out here. Once again, grown in a hedge on this swale patty. The tree, overstory species, is mayhaw. And they're wanting to put on some fruit. Some of these are looking good, some are looking a little cooked. But it's putting on fruit. This is the first year this mayhaw has put on fruit. On the swale mound, the bottom swale mound, we have figs. So there's a fig every couple of feet here. We have 1, 2 figs. 3 figs, 4 figs, 5, 6. I'm counting 7 figs as I go down the row here. And then also down the row, once again, there's those goomy berry, nitrogen fixing, edible berries. And in between those, we have pawpaws. Okay, and the pawpaw runners that I brought from my home, have not only transplanted well, but are putting on, you know, leaf, like just fine. There's no problem. So here are 2 transplant pawpaw runners from my personal home site that are doing good. I'm spreading diversity. We've got a lot of different things growing out here. As you can see, there's another, you know, elderberry hedge. Elderberry's a big seller out here, believe it or not. And we've got things set up in agroforestry. We got things set up permaculture. We've got companion planting. We got everything set up out here. This is this is how we should all be doing it, especially in, you know, times where we might be feeling a little food insecure. Appreciate y'all watching. As always, here I am now at the bottom of the hill. We kind of did the whole tour from top to bottom. I appreciate y'all joining me. As always, please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already. That really helps us out. We thank y'all. We love y'all. God bless.